Hi, welcome back. Hope everyone had a nice Christmas. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about why I sold the Ducati. It was such a good bike. I'll tell you why I bought it. I've had like all sorts of adventure bikes. Like I've went through all of them because I had a problem with buffeting. So I had a KTM Adventure 1090R. I had a BMW GS, two different ones, and I went through a lot. And I tried a Scrambler 1200, just like this one, but a white and green one. I loved it. There was no buffeting, there was no windscreen, so it was like, riding a naked bike. There's no buffeting or anything, no turbulence or anything. So it was just so nice to go from all those, because I tried with different windscreens, and it was just, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm tall and I've got a really tall torso, so I'm always above, so I get all the buffeting in my helmet. And yeah, so I struggled with that. Like I was trying different earplugs and all sorts of stuff. It didn't work. So when I tried the Scrambler, like maybe 3 years ago, I was in love, and I rode it all the way from Sweden to Spain through the Alps, and I loved it. It was such a relief, and like I was because I was almost giving up on adventure bikes, and this is, I mean, I can do anything. I went to Morocco on my old one, and I went to the High Atlas, I went to the Sahara Desert, everywhere. So you can do anything that I did on any of the other ones, like in the Ducati, the Desert X, I could do on this one. So when I went down to Morocco on the Desert X, and I had that thing happening to me in the middle of the desert where I thought there was something wrong with the bike, and the Ducati being so expensive, if something happens and you have to leave the bike and walk, if you can't get reception, I know you can get the Garmin InReach and all that stuff, but if you have to leave it or you have an accident, it had me thinking a bit that maybe I shouldn't have such an expensive bike and to only use it for those trips. I mean, I can use this one, and so I don't think I need it. So the reason I bought it was as I was saying, I had one of these and I loved it. And then one day I was out in Granada, up in Sierra Nevada, riding, and it was an extremely windy day. And then on the way back to Malaga, I was riding on the motorway, and it was extremely windy, and I got all the wind in my chest, and I was struggling, and then I was thinking maybe I should just try a bike with a windscreen, wind protection again. And my friend Paco here, he had a T7, a Tenere, and so I was just, I borrowed his bike and I went out on the motorway here, and it was perfect. There was no buffeting at all, like nothing, and I loved it. I went on the motorway back and forth just to try it. So then I went to Yamaha, and then I bought a new Tenere. I traded in my Scrambler for a Tenere, and this was like back in 2024. It was last year, in September last year, and that was when they started having problems with that year with the clutch plates, and they didn't know about it. So I was their first customer telling them that there was a problem with the clutch. Like when it was cold and I started the bike and I put the first gear in, the bike would actually move. Like it wouldn't just jump forward like many bikes. It would continue moving. It was extreme. So when I changed gears, when I was riding, if it was cold-ish and I changed gears, the bike would actually move when I changed the gear. So I took it back to Yamaha, and then I don't know how many times they changed the clutch plates, probably 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 times, I don't know. They had it for so long because I didn't know what the problem was. So they tried new oil a few times, they tried new clutch plates. It didn't work, and then I had it for like maybe 6 months, and it was, this problem was they didn't find out what the problem was. So I traded it in for a new. I said I want a new one. I can't continue like this. I need the bike, because the bike was at the shop all the time. So he said the new ones don't have this problem. So I got a new one, and I paid like 1,500 euros just to get a new one. And I thought it was worth it, because then I would have a bike that wouldn't have the problem. And it did have the same problem. And I started again the procedure, then, you know, giving it back to Yamaha. They trying to fix it, and then after 6 months, I gave up, and I just didn't like it. They said it was fixed, but I still had that issue, and I didn't like it. And I tried the Desert X, and it didn't have that problem. Like, so I know the Tenere is such a good bike. Like, my friend had a 3-year-old bike, and it had done like maybe 70,000 kilometers, and it was extremely smooth, perfect. I loved it. Maybe one day I will go back to a Tenere, but it would be a pre-2023 with a few kilometers on it, second hand. I would try it. But anyway, so I traded it in for a Ducati Desert X. I was going to go for the base model, the normal one, because I had, with the Tenere, I had a little bit of a problem because I'm so heavy with packing and everything. So I changed the spring, the rear spring. So I changed it for a much stiffer one. And I heard people saying the same thing about the Desert X. So that's why I got the rally version, because it had better suspension, and so yeah, that's pretty much the reason why I got that one. But to me, the suspension on the Desert X, it's good, but to me it's still soft. Like, maybe I'm very heavy, like I'm 95 kilos, but like it's very soft for me, I think. I think if I kept it, I would have changed the spring, the rear spring, I think, for a harder one. The Desert X, it's a very nice bike. I love it. I love riding it. The only issue is the price and leaving it somewhere, and you know, also to me it gets extremely hot. The engine, I thought, and everyone complains about these ones because you got the exhaust, the high exhaust here, and riding in Malaga in summer or anywhere in the summer, it gets hot. But it didn't really bother me that much. Like, it wasn't a big problem for me at all. Like, I would just put down my left leg instead of my right leg in red lights. But I thought the Ducati was a lot hotter. Like, riding it in town, I would never do that. Like, it was so hot. Like, as soon as you get to a red light, if you don't move, you know, it heats up. It gets over 100 degrees and the fan kicks on, and it's just way too, for me, it's just an extremely hot engine. So I prefer this one. I know it's a very capable bike. You can do anything. Like, of course, going off-road, that bike is so much better than this one. But I don't really go off-road that hardcore and that often. When I like ride, I would probably do maybe 80-90% tarmac, and then if I find a nice, you know, section where you can go off-road, I would do it. But I wouldn't do only the TET through Europe. Or I bought the bikes to be able to go off-road, not to go off-road and be able to be on the road. Like, it's, to me, I much rather travel, you know, on normal streets, and every now and then go off-road. So I'm thinking I will just buy a cheap old Yamaha XT something 600, whatever they're called, or a Honda, whatever, Transalp, or something old that I don't have to worry about as much, like maybe for 2,000 or 3,000 euros. And also, like, my big dream has always been to ride my bike to New Zealand. One day I will do it, but in the meantime, before I can do that, I have like these smaller goals, like going to Georgia or Tajikistan or something like that. But I would never do that on the Desert X. Like, imagine if something happens and leaving it there, I would never do that. And then also, in some of these countries you need carnet de passage, and I don't know much about it, but I think you have to pay a lot. Like, if the more expensive bike you've got, the more you have to pay for the carnet. And so I think a cheaper bike would be a more sensible option. I don't know. Please comment if you know better. Like, if you know that's not the case. But also, anyway, like, travel around the world on a Ducati Desert X. Imagine if something happens. No one can repair it in Uzbekistan or wherever. But an old Honda, I think anyone can do that. And it's easy to do compared to a new expensive bike. I love the Ducati, but this is enough for me. And honestly, I ride this one rather than the Ducati going anywhere. Maybe not off-road, but then again, like, I wouldn't take the Ducati off-road because it's so expensive. It doesn't really make sense. So I sold it, and I'm gonna have this. It's just too much money for me, for my use. Lots of people could probably use their bike a lot better than me, because yeah, I'm not a hardcore off-road rider. So this will be my adventure bike, and then I will have, maybe I will get a proper off-road bike. Yeah, so that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I hope I see you in the next one. Bye bye.